Should you play through an ankle sprain? That's one of the most common questions we get asked from basketball players, and that's also one of the hardest decisions as a basketball player to make when you're playing in a game. We're gonna go over things you need to look at when you're trying to play through an ankle sprain, and also before you make a decision, always consult with your athletic trainer or sports physical therapist at the event. But let's just jump into it. My name is Dr. Marco Lopez, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, and co-founder of the Basketball Doctors. So when it comes to ankle sprains, as you can see in this video of Kristaps Porzingis when he sprained his ankle, that there's a lot of factors to be considered when you sprain the ankle. If you want to learn a little bit more about the actual mechanism of it, the anatomy of it, click the link below. We have a great ankle sprain video that we go over everything about it. And we also have early ankle sprain rehab, click the link below, and also a full ankle sprain rehab program if you sprain it. But the big decision that we got to jump into is if you sprain your ankle, should you play through it? So like I mentioned, Kristaps Porzingis, he injured his ankle. He tried walking on it, but he decided to get back into the bench. But then we also have different scenarios like Victor Wembanyama, as you can see in this video. He sprains his ankle and he just acts like nothing happened. So when it comes to spraining your ankle, there's different grades and there's different severities, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're just gonna go into what are the risks of you playing through it. So you sprain your ankle and you're like, oh, it kind of hurts. One of the biggest things right now is if you play through an ankle sprain, one, because it hurts, you're gonna start offloading it. So when you start offloading, that means a lot of your weight's gonna go on your opposite side. So when the majority of your weight goes on your opposite side, that increases your risk for an injury in the opposite side. Because when you jump or you land, you're not gonna wanna land on that hurt ankle. You're gonna try to put more weight on that other side. And that increases your risk for injuries at the knee, ankle, or hip. Also, you not only increase your risk for injury in the opposite side, but on the same side that you injured your ankle, because you already sprained your ankle. When you sprain your ankle, you injure the ligament, then you increase your risk for a re-sprain that same day because it's already unstable as it is, so you might re-sprain it. The other option that might occur is because your ankle gets injured, you sprain it, you start losing mobility because it starts stiffening up. So when your ankle stiffens up, the joint above it, the knee, is now gonna have to take a lot of the toll because the ankle can't bend a certain direction, so now your knee has to move the motion that your ankle wasn't moving. So now you increase your risk for a knee injury. And a lot of people kind of say that's the reason why Derrick Rose injured his ACL, because if you remember, he sprained his ankle, then a couple weeks later, he injured his ACL. And that's common when people spraining their ankle and then having an ACL injury. So those are the possible worst case scenario or risks that are involved with an ankle sprain if you're trying to play through it. But we're gonna go over what happens if you decide to play through it. All right, now you decided to play through it, which is actually pretty common. You know, you sprain your ankle, it's a championship game, you're like, there's no time, I gotta keep playing. Or it doesn't hurt that much, or there's a lot on the line. If you decide to play through it, here's some of the common things we've seen, and we're gonna go over why it makes sense to use those things. So the first one is obviously an ankle brace or taping up your ankle. The reason why you wanna put on an ankle brace or you get taped up is because it provides stability to the ankle. So remember, when you sprain your ankle, you sprain it, it goes out to the side, you roll the ankle. So we want to provide stability so it doesn't roll again. So that's why people tape it up or use an ankle brace. But the risk factors with that is because they tape it up or re-tape it up or put an ankle brace, you might get restricted in your range of motion. So that increases your risk for a knee injury or puts a little bit more pressure on your knee because the ankle is not moving much. But it does protect that ankle from re-spraining it because you have some external stability. The second thing is people tighten up their shoes. If you see the NBA benches, they'll tighten up the shoes really hard. And the reason they tighten up those shoes is because one, it actually also provides some stability to the shoe of your foot. So it does hopefully decrease your risk for a sprain, but it's more for the compression. The tighter you tie up your shoe, the less swelling goes in there because you're compressing it. That's why people kind of play through it. And then the next day you'll see like, oh, the NBA player is out 2 days with an ankle sprain, but you're like, hey, he played through it. It's because he tightened up his shoes and that decreased that swelling, because once you take off your shoe, then the swelling starts to increase. When the swelling starts to increase, then we have issues at the range of motion side. You can't move your foot that well, but also pain. When you have swelling, it's gonna be painful. So that's why those people tighten up their shoes before going onto the court. All right, guys, regardless if you decide to play or not play, one of the most important things is one, get it checked out by an athletic trainer or sports physical therapist or an ortho. Then you got to start doing your rehab ASAP. We have a great online ankle sprain rehab program that takes you from initial ankle sprain back to basketball. So depending on the severity, we have different levels, step by step to get you there. Because like I mentioned, if you don't rehab that ankle sprain could turn out to have several issues down the line. Like I mentioned, Derrick Rose had that ACL injury, and people having those weak ankles, chronic ankle issues like Steph Curry. So we got to do our rehab. We have a great rehab program. Click the link in the bio or send us a message if you're local here in Southern California. So to quickly summarize, with playing through an ankle sprain, there's a lot of risk. One, like I said, re-spraining your ankle. Two, injuring that same knee or injuring the opposite leg for offloading your weight on that injured ankle to the opposite side. And why people play through it, they do certain things such as using an ankle brace or taping up. That provides stability. And they also tighten up their shoes. That provides compression. So those are quick little factors that you can use to help decompress that ankle and not cause that to re-sprain. So hopefully you guys learned a lot from this video, and hopefully you make an informed decision to play or not play. We are the Basketball Doctors. Let's ball for life.